Well, well. Poor. Look, I'm sorry. Welcome back to the channel, Cardiff City World, and this is a post-match reaction. Unfortunately, I couldn't do a live one, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. I'm going on a road trip early doors tomorrow, so I've got to pack all my kit and the rest of it. But look, you'll never find me slagging off the kids, right? You just won't. It's a learning curve for them, and they will learn from that tonight. Let me tell you something. The first 15 minutes, I thought Cardiff City looked good. The problem is we didn't have a focal point. We didn't have an out-and-out number 9. So what we were trying to do is build combinations and rotations around the edge of the box, and then occasionally trying to get in behind with the fullbacks to then get a cut back to the edge of the box. It worked alright at first. Nigel Howard had a one-on-one with a keeper, got a score. I think he had much more time than he realised, because he went with his weaker foot, his left, and drags it wide. But I think he had enough time to open his body up and just side foot it, into the far corner with his stronger foot. But easy with hindsight and everything. And we looked alright in the first sort of 15 minutes. There was a couple of little balls which went into Kellyman, and if he just got that final little flick around the corner, we were in. His first touch was a bit off, and I guess, look, in a game like that, first of all, losing 5-1 at home, it's just not acceptable. Like, no matter what the ages of the kids, and the average age of the team starting was 20. By the time it finished, I'm sure it was more like 17, 18. And look, we'll try and pick out some positives in a minute, but first and foremost, losing 5-1 at home is not acceptable. But the trophy is meaningless. We don't really care about it until we get to the last stages. Was it a missed opportunity in terms of getting a trophy and stuff like that? Yeah, probably. Like, you could probably go deeper if you go a bit stronger. I thought we went a bit stronger than we were going to, actually. But it was men v boys. It was men v boys, literally, as well. Like, it was grown men, in some cases battle-hardened EFL footballers, versus kids making their, first foray in terms of a season into men's football, and it looked like it at times. The first 15 minutes, Cardiff were decent, lacked a focal point, but were decent on the ball at least, and we were moving it quickly. After that 15-minute spot, we just faded, and you could see a couple of times Joel Colwell had the ball, and he's like on the ball, angry because he's got to hold it because there's no movement off him. No one really wanted the ball, and same Dylan Lawler had the ball a few times, and he ends up trying to force a pass because there's just a complete lack of movement off the ball. Is it a confidence thing? Is it a tempo thing? Is it a chemistry thing? I don't know. And look, like I said, I'm not going to single out individuals and kids, and they're young players, they're learning, and they've got to learn fast. They're being chucked into the deep end, so to speak, in some cases. And look, some of them will make it, some of them won't. And I think there's a couple there tonight who've had a few opportunities in and around the first team, not just in this competition, but in other competitions and last year in some cases. And they're struggling. They're struggling to deal with the physicality. They're struggling to deal with the intensity of it, and maybe they will end up dropping down a level or whatever. Hopefully they still have a great career in football, though, regardless of whether they make it or don't make it at Cardiff. Cardiff fell off a cliff. Like, the first goal comes from Nigel Howard and Giles are on the attack in the left wing. I think it's Nigel Howard loses the ball, and then all of a sudden Dylan Lawler's pulled out of position. He showed a bit of inexperience where he tries to nip the ball off the winger, and the winger gets a toe to it, where in hindsight Dylan probably should just hold him up or wait for his teammates to get back. But this is the problem when you do play with such attacking fullbacks and they're right up there. If you lose the ball and the other team can get it in the channel and get it into their striker quickly, you get found out. That was a good finish, the first one. And then second half, we come out, we're thinking, right, Luke Pearce is on, he's going to cause a bit of mayhem. He presses, he does all these things, he's a goal scorer, he's a proper number 9. But he never really had an opportunity because we simply just gave them three, 4 goals within a very short space of time. And look, I'm a big fan of Matthew Turner, forever a legend. But I thought he had an off night tonight. You know, and he is a first team player. And a couple of them, I thought Keane Ashford did all right. I thought Dylan did all right. Actually, I thought Dylan was good, apart from the first goal. Mafiko started really well, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to see. Was reading the game well, was moving off, sometimes off a couple of touches, then sometimes, you know, holding it and looking for a more progressive pass. But he really faded as the game went on. For me, I think Mafiko will really benefit from bulking out a bit and probably going on loan to League Two and getting battered about a bit. But I think there's a player there. I really do think there's a player there. Troy Perrott started really well, faded. And that was the kind of story of the night. We started all right and faded. I thought Kingdon did okay. Axel Donksu looked dangerous when he came on for someone so young. I was gutted that he didn't get his goal. Lovely little bit of skill and shot, and the keeper tips it on, saves it onto the bar. And look, overall, not good enough. Not good enough. You've got to probably try and take some positives. You know, I was really chuffed before the game for Joel Colwell to be the captain, and I'm sure that would have been a proud moment for him. But it's not a game that he's going to want to remember because Cardiff got so heavily defeated. Out of the Virtue Trophy, on the evening, not good enough, no tempo. Everything which we saw against Arsenal under 21s, we didn't see that tonight. And look, Amari Kellyman has clearly got bags of talent, bags of skill. Like, he has got all the tools. But you've got to want it, and you've got to fight for it, and you've got to have the application and the focus. And I thought his first touch was quite poor in the first half. He came into it a little bit towards the end of the first half, beat his man a couple of times, and maybe looked a little bit more dangerous central, where he was able to sort of beat a man, spread the play. But before that, I thought he was quite poor. Now I'm hoping that, you know, it's still the thing with him. He's finding his feet, and haven't seen him at full tilt. But the first team players, I don't mind kind of talking about a little bit, and there's more to come from him, I'm sure. But I want to see more from him. I'm not seeing enough from him at the moment, and I know some people really like him, and I do think he's super talented, but I want to see more from him. Joel Colwell had a pretty off night, but I think some of that was because he was getting caught on the ball and having too many touches because there was no movement around him. The story of the night was started well, faded. It pretty much applies to every player, maybe Dylan Lawler aside. Only the one injury, I suppose, is a plus. In Osho is the only one who got injured, as far as I know. Out of the Virtue Trophy, in one way, who cares? In another way, you don't lose 5-1 at home, ever. Like, you make sure. And we defensively just fell apart in that first 10 minutes. But it's not the important game, let's be honest. Saturday's the game, Huddersfield, and it's a big one. Now I hope and pray that Dylan Lawler will start alongside Will Fish, because I was a little bit concerned that he started tonight, because I worry that they won't start him on Saturday now. Probably would have rather seen Chambers and Osho if we weren't going to play youngsters. But look, fair play to Wimbledon. They got the mix of youth and squad players right. They played some really big, physical lads, experienced lads, and they had too much for the Cardiff kids. But we go again. Those kids will learn from it, and some of them will kick on, and some of them won't. My message to all of them would just specifically be this, is learn from it, learn from the many mistakes, and kick on. Kick on physically, mentally, and technically, and keep on going, because one game doesn't define you as a player or a team, but it's got to be better than that, you know. But there we go. Thank you so much as always. I'm not sure there will be a lunchtime video tomorrow because I'll be travelling, but there will be probably a member show in the night after after the R&R revelations. And tomorrow night live, former Cardiff City striker Andy Keogh joins Reese and Rob, so do check that out and get your questions in for Andy. Should be an interesting one. He was at the club at an interesting period with some real characters, so I'm sure he'll have plenty of stories to tell. So make sure you get involved with that, and I will see you in the next one. Yeah, keep the faith, and I'll see you in a bit. Nice one.